The Forsaken Heir. Episode 84. As soon as the owner of the beauty salon heard that the two women were fighting, he became angry. Aren't friends chatting? Why are they fighting? The clerk hurriedly said, Don't know, it's a terrible beating. If you don't check it again, one will probably kill the other, and the beauty salon owner was nervous. He hasn't run away yet. If something goes wrong at this time and the police are brought in, it will be a big trouble. So he hurried to check the situation. Before he got there, he heard that one is being beaten to death. Elaine was yelling through the door, Stinky girl, I can't cure Gina's big fat pig, and he can't cure you. Cynthia obviously took the advantage, gritted her teeth and cursed, You wait. I'm definitely not going to make you feel better. I won't let you live to see the sun tomorrow. Snapped. Elaine slapped Cynthia's face again, That broken mouth, why is forcing me to talk, see if I won't tear your mouth for you. The owner of the beauty salon opened the door and took a look, but was frightened by the two women with blood on their faces and quickly closed the door. He muttered nervously in his mouth, No way, no way. If you continue to do this, you must die. After speaking, he immediately ran to the back door, and when he pushed the door, he saw a van parked upside down at the door, with the trunk entrance facing the back door. So he hurried to the co-pilot and took a picture. Harold put down the car window and asked excitedly, Brother Betrayal, has that stinky Elaine fainted? The owner of the beauty salon said anxiously, Fat. She fought with a woman inside. If she continues to fight, she will kill people. Go in and take them away. Harold asked in surprise, What's the situation? Has she started fighting? With whom? The owner of the beauty salon was a little guilty, but didn't mention a word about the fact that he charged Cynthia. He said hurriedly, Don't know who is, you quickly take the person away, otherwise it's all be over if something happens. I'm going to die, and you are going to die. Upon hearing this, Harold hurriedly led a few young people out of the car. A crowd of people, led by the owner of the beauty salon, swarmed to the door of the spa room. Before opening the door, they heard the mess inside. Harold kicked the door open. Seeing Elaine was riding on a woman with a bloody face and beating her, he immediately said to a few people around him, It's the woman above, grab her and take her into the car. Elaine turned to find Harold, and suddenly shouted in panic, Harold! What do you want to do? Harold grinned and said, Aunt, you spent so long with our family and sent Mom to the black coal kill. Now is the time to pay a price. After speaking, he waved his hand, and several people around him immediately rushed over and tied Elaine up. Cynthia didn't know what was going on, but when someone started to arrest the woman who had been beating her, she was finally relieved and angrily cursed, Elaine, I am going to break you into pieces. Wait. As Cynthia spoke, she reached into Hermie's bag and fetched her phone. Seeing this, Harold hurriedly scolded, You still want to call? Put the phone down for me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Cynthia looked at him and blurted out, This matter is my personal grievance with Elaine, don't worry about it. Give Elaine to me, and I will give you a satisfactory reward. Harold exploded immediately. He thought to himself, Is this woman mindless? Give Elaine to her? How can our family explain to Mr. Regner? Besides, I don't care how you appeared here today, since you and Elaine when they got together, in order to avoid problems with kidnapping Elaine, then I can only take her away. So he ignored Cynthia and said directly to the young people, tie up this woman and take her away. When Cynthia heard this, she shouted angrily, tie me. Do you know who I am? Harold said in disgust, I don't bother to know who you are. When you and Elaine go to the brick factory to burn bricks, tell Elaine who you are. After speaking, he said to the few people, give me both of them. Cynthia said hysterically, you dare to move me, I'm Wade, oh. Before Cynthia could say the rest, her mouth was tightly gagged with a towel. The end of Elaine was the same. After being gagged, Harold immediately said to them, hurry up and get people in the car. Several people immediately took Elaine and Cynthia, walked out the back door quickly, and stuffed them into the carriage. Harold said to the owner of the beauty salon at this time, Brother Betrayal, I advise you to withdraw as soon as possible and don't spend an extra moment here. The owner of the beauty salon said, no, I still have some second-hand equipment and furniture waiting to be processed. Harold asked him, how much money can it be worth just such a little second-hand tatter? It's worthless, but it's better than a lot of things. If you sell it, you can sell it for 10 or 20,000. Harold said hurriedly, you quickly pull it down. How long do you have to spend on this 20,000? In case it is for such a small amount of money, and you finally want to run away, then you will lose out. So I advise you to leave now. After I am gone, you should withdraw from the back door quickly. The beauty salon owner thought carefully, yes, the woman who came to Elaine just now has a companion, but that companion is waiting outside at this time, and now she is taken away by Harold. The other party can't wait for anyone, and it will take half an hour, and he will definitely come in to see what happens. Isn't it a bad thing? Thinking of this, he lost his heart. Anyway, he earned 200,000 from Harold, and another 50,000 from Cynthia, which is already a lot of money. If he doesn't run away now, if he can't get away, regret no tears. So he hurriedly said to the clerk, go and say hello to the massager, pack things up and leave in 5 minutes. The clerk nodded busy, okay, boss. Soon, the van that Harold found, carrying Elaine and Cynthia who were tied up by the 5 flowers, quickly left the back door of the beauty salon. Within a few minutes, the owner of the beauty salon also took clerk and a massager, with large and small bags of soft luggage, and sneaked away through the back door. At this moment, Cynthia's bodyguard was still standing beside the Rolls-Royce on the roadside, waiting for Cynthia to come out. How did he know that Cynthia was actually kidnapped in this ordinary beauty salon? 20 minutes passed, and Cynthia hadn't come out yet. The bodyguard took out his cell phone and planned to call Cynthia to ask. At the same time, the van was driving outside the city. Harold was sitting on the back seat with a smug look, while Elaine, who was heavily tied up, was lying at his feet. He deliberately stepped on Elaine's face with his feet, and sneered, Elaine, you didn't expect it, you will have a day today. Elaine was speechless, so she could only whimper a few times. At this moment, in Cynthia's bag next to him, the phone rang suddenly. Cynthia's cell phone ringing shocked Harold. He hurriedly reached out to Cynthia's bag and took out an Apple mobile phone. Seeing someone calling her, he immediately turned off the phone without saying anything, and threw it back into Cynthia's bag. Although Cynthia whimpered for a while, but there was nothing to do, and the intestines that she had regretted long ago were blue. She thought to herself, "Isn't it the bad luck that I did? What am I doing with this Elaine? If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be kidnapped by this group of people." However, regret at this time has no meaning. Although she is the eldest daughter of Elder Wade, at this moment, she is also called every day to refuse, and the ground is not working. At the same time, at the entrance of Litzy Beauty Salon, Cynthia's bodyguard found that his master refused to answer his phone. He didn't think much about it at first thought. After all, he knew that Cynthia was here to talk to Elaine. Maybe it was inconvenient to answer his phone at the critical moment of negotiation. However, in order to be sure that he was foolproof, he called Cynthia again. Unexpectedly, after the call was made, the phone turned off. This moment made the bodyguard nervous. In today's society, mobile phones are very important to anyone. Therefore, Cynthia's mobile phone has hardly ever been turned off during the day. He immediately noticed something abnormal, so he immediately said to the driver, "Follow me in and have a look." The driver was also one of Cynthia's bodyguards. He immediately got off the Rolls-Royce and rushed into the beauty salon along with the bodyguards who had been guarding the car. As soon as they entered the beauty salon, the two realized that something was wrong. The clerk was not there, and it was a bit messy inside, obviously showing signs of hastily turned over. So they searched from room to room and found the spa room where Cynthia and Elaine had been fighting before. When they saw the house full of mess, blood, and a lock of long hair on the ground, the two of them shook their hearts and looked at each other, and they could see the despair and collapse in each other's eyes. On the sofa, there are silk scarves left by Cynthia. From the scene, it can be easily seen that Cynthia was kidnapped. The two bodyguards suddenly felt thunderous. They were ordered to protect Cynthia's personal safety. They should have used their lives to defend Cynthia's safety, but they didn't expect Cynthia to be kidnapped right under their noses. One of them desperately said, "It's over. This is over. The protector is not strong, this is a capital crime." The other person was equally desperate and collapsed and said, This shouldn't be." Missy decided to come to see that Elaine temporarily today, so it is impossible to reveal any whereabouts in advance, and our way is not. Without being followed by anyone, who would take her against her, this is not logical. Oh, you don't care about what is reasonable or unreasonable. The top priority now is to find the eldest lady. Let's call Isaac as soon as possible. Oris Hill is his site, he must be better than us. It makes sense. As the man said, he immediately took out his mobile phone and called Isaac. Isaac was in the hospital at this time, visiting the employee who miscarried because of Cynthia. Cynthia's kick not only kicked the female employee's child, but also caused the female employee to cause a severe bleeding. Fortunately, the rescue was timely and she was temporarily out of danger. Isaac hated and angered at the thought of Cynthia's arrogance and domineering, but as a servant of the Wade family, he had no right to point fingers at her anyway. Therefore, he can only comfort his female employee and let her cultivate her body at ease. After coming out of the ward, Isaac sighed, wondering when the grandmother Cynthia could leave when the phone suddenly rang. The person who called was Cynthia's bodyguard. Isaac answered the phone. "Hey, this is Isaac." The nervous people on the other end of the phone almost cried, and choked up. "Mr. Isaac, something has happened, Mr. Isaac." Isaac frowned and asked, "What's the matter? What is such a fuss for?" There was a shivering voice and said, "Isaac, Mr. Isaac, the eldest lady, she is kidnapped." There was a buzz in Isaac's mind. "What do you mean? Cynthia was kidnapped in Oris Hill? Who is so bold that even they dare to touch the Wade family?" "So," he hurriedly said, "don't worry, let me know the matter clearly after the first 5 to 10. The other party hurriedly said, "Today the eldest lady is looking for a woman named Elaine to talk about something, so we accompanied the eldest lady to a beauty salon and met with that woman." Unexpectedly, the two of them disappeared in the beauty salon together, and even the clerk and boss of the beauty salon are missing. In the next moment, he immediately thought of Charlie. He knew that Charlie had a big quarrel with Cynthia in the hanging garden, and the two sides must have been very uncomfortable, so it might really be Charlie's hand. So he hurriedly called Charlie and asked as soon as he came up, "Master, where are you?" Charlie said lightly, "I'm at home, what's the matter?" Isaac said nervously, "Master, did you tie up Miss Cynthia?" Charlie frowned, "No, I don't even bother to see her, why would I tie her up?" "Why, she is kidnapped." Isaac was surprised, "Ah? You didn't do this thing? That's bad. This is really going to happen?" Charlie asked, "What is going on?" Isaac blurted out, "Miss Cynthia went to the beauty salon to see your mother-in-law, and said she was going to talk to your mother-in-law in person, but she suddenly disappeared from the beauty salon." Charlie was shocked, and hurriedly asked him, "What about mother-in-law? Missing too? Do you know what she said to mother-in-law?" What Charlie feared most at this time was that Cynthia would reveal his identity in front of Elaine. Now, the Sue family is the enemy he must get rid of, and the Wade family does not know whether it is an enemy or a friend. It is very likely that the two top East Cliff families are his enemies. If his identity is revealed, they will be exposed to those around them. Brings a lot of danger. Before these things were resolved, he was not going to tell Claire his identity. However, if Cynthia and Elaine show up, then he won't be able to hide. Isaac also heard that Charlie was a little nervous about this matter, and hurriedly said, "Master, don't know the specific situation now. Don't know what Miss Cynthia and your mother-in-law talked about. Now they are both kidnapped. We have to find them first." Charlie nodded, and said, "You call Orville. His subordinates are scattered all over Oris Hill and have many eyes and ears. For this kind of thing he should be able to find a clue." Under Charlie's order, the entire Oris Hill underground world was dispatched almost at this instant. Orville even took to the streets in person, looking for clues to Elaine with his men. Harold didn't know this at this time. He just wanted to take revenge on Elaine, and then send her to the Black Brick Kill to work for a lifetime. This will not only suppress the arrogance of Charlie and Claire, but also avenge him and his mother. Noah was also very excited. His hatred for Elaine has already reached a peak. Of the four of Charlie's family, he hates Elaine the most. The reason why he hates Elaine so much is mainly that Horia was sent to the Black Coal Kill, because of Elaine, and Horia was pregnant in the Black Coal Kill and infected herself with a venereal disease. That's fine, but this Elaine hung dozens of green hats on the wall to disgust him, so that he will never forget the harm Horia has brought to him, and he will always feel green on his head. As time continues to increase, it is no longer a common practice. At this time, the father and son, together with their accomplices, dragged Elaine and Cynthia to the abandoned warehouse in the suburbs. Because the warehouse is large, the van can be driven directly into the warehouse. As soon as the car stopped, Harold jumped out of the car first, and then dragged Elaine out of the car. Noah looked at Elaine on the ground with a sneer, and said with disgust, "Elaine, Elaine, you never dreamt that you would have a day today?" Elaine was terrified, but because her mouth was blocked, she couldn't speak and could only sob loudly. Noah directly tore off the towel from her mouth. Elaine blurted out immediately, "Noah! You are so tired and crooked, dare to kidnap me. Believe it or not, my son-in-law can blow your head anytime." "Hey?" Noah raised his hand and slapped Elaine, angrily said, "It's all about this time, so act with me? You think you are on your terrace now, don't you?" Elaine is a master who cannot afford to lose. Seeing that he dared to beat her, she immediately furiously said, "Noah, you wait. My son-in-law knows many people with good power in Oris Hill, and he will definitely teach you a lot." Noah sneered and said, "Do you still expect Charlie to teach us? I tell you, today I tie you here for two main purposes. First, let a few young people have fun with you, and take some videos to post online, let you and your family be ruined. Second, send you to the black brick factory to burn the kill and move bricks for a lifetime. How did you deal with Horia in the first place? I will now get it back hundreds of times." As soon as Elaine heard this, she was so frightened. She really did not expect that Noah would have such a vicious plan. So, she immediately persuaded him and choked, "Brother, you shouldn't hate me so much. It was not me who wanted to harm my sister in the first place. It was my sister who wanted to harm me. Ask yourself if you didn't want to pit me. My son-in-law's villa, I can't do it against you." Noah raised his hand and slapped her again, yelling, "Then you hung so many green hats on your terrace, how do you explain?" Elaine hurriedly said, "I was really wrong about that, the eldest brother, think I am your younger sibling, please spare me this time, I will definitely collect all the green hats after I go back. Do not keep them there." Noah coldly snorted, "Now you know that you confess your mistake? I tell you, it's too late. Even if it's the gods of health, don't want to save you this time." Harold on the side came over and asked in a low voice, "Dad, when should we let people do it?" Noah said, "Don't worry, when President Wu comes over, he will have to witness it with his own eyes." Harold asked again, "What should I do? There is still a woman in the car." At that time, there was no way but to tie her together, but we don't know her either. Noah smacked his lips and said, "Don't worry, let's get rid of this one first. If it doesn't work, send that woman to the black brick kill." At this moment, the Wade family had received news that Cynthia was kidnapped. After Elder Wade heard about this, he was instantly furious. He threw a beloved blue and white plum bottle directly in the living room, and roared angrily, "With the strength and status of my Wade family in the country, there are still people who dare to kidnap the immediate family members of the Wade family. This is too courageous." The three brothers Andrew, Chang Jiun, and Chang Jun looked at him one by one, but none of them spoke. Cynthia was kidnapped suddenly, and for them, it was not something worth worrying about. On the contrary, it is something worthy of the expectations and excitement for the three of them. None of the three brothers liked her. The reason is nothing more than the word interest. If Cynthia, like Changziu, the youngest daughter of the Wade family, would live steadily with her husband when she married, they would naturally not be dissatisfied with Cynthia. But it was because she had already married out, but she couldn't keep herself in the husband's family and teach her sons. After separating from her husband, she ran back to the Wade family in an attempt to share a share of the family property. This made the three Wade family brothers treat her very much with disgust. Moreover, Cynthia was already very serious. She never cared about the feelings of the three brothers, only the feelings of the father alone. Therefore, she would often deliberately target the three brothers in order to win the affection of the father, and make them annoying. Now she has been kidnapped. Isn't this the gift God gave to the three of them? Although the three of them haven't had any communication with each other, they all have the same wish in their hearts. That is, they hope the kidnappers will kill Cynthia directly and never let her back again. The old master Zhongchuan was very annoyed. During this period of time, he increasingly felt that his eldest daughter Cynthia was not only capable, but also very obedient to his words. Compared with the three sons, Cynthia made herself more compliant. Now, his daughter, by his own order, went to Oris Hill to find Charlie, and was kidnapped there. This not only threatened his daughter's life, but also slapped him in the face, so he could not do anything. So he immediately called Isaac and asked about the details of the matter. Isaac could only reply truthfully, and told how she was kidnapped with Elaine, and told Elder Wade in detail. After listening to the old master Wade, he blurted out and asked, "Isaac, do you think the other party is targeting Cynthia or Elaine?" Isaac said, "Master, I really can't analyze the specific situation now. The eldest has a high status. Maybe there are desperate desperados who want to kidnap her and blackmail a huge fortune. But Charlie's mother-in-law has a pungent personality. Very often, she offends people. Maybe the other party may come to her to seek revenge. All of this will be known after the party is found." Elder Wade immediately said in a cold voice, "Isaac, I have two requirements. First, you must rescue Cynthia anyway, otherwise you will be asked. Second, immediately grab Cynthia's bodyguard, interrupt his hands and feet, and then send him back to Wade's house to accept punishment." Isaac also knew very well that he had to take responsibility for something wrong with Cynthia. If Cynthia finally turned away from danger, everything would be fine, but if she really had some shortcomings, then her good life would have come to an end. What's more, there was Charlie's mother-in-law who disappeared with her this time. Therefore, he further increased his search power, and even transferred the entire Shangri-La security guard out, just to search for the whereabouts of Cynthia and Elaine as soon as possible. However, the clues need to start from the beauty salon and a little bit of searching, so it is impossible to find them immediately. Charlie had also left home at this time and went to the beauty salon to meet Isaac. He was worried about two things at this time. One thing was that Cynthia exposed his identity to Elaine, and the other was that Elaine was Abner ally murdered by the kidnappers. In fact, until now, he has no family feelings towards Elaine. After all, Elaine has been bullying and humiliating him for more than 3 years, but only recently has she changed. If there is a choice, Charlie hopes that Elaine will evaporate. However, Charlie felt a little unbearable when he thought of his wife Claire. Claire is very kind after all, and she can be considered very filial to Elaine. If Elaine disappears for no reason, her blow will be extraordinary. The last time Elaine entered the detention center, she was missing for just a few days. Claire was going crazy. If something happens this time to her, she would definitely be more worried than the last time. Moreover, it seems that the new year will be around in 2 days. If Elaine has any accident at this time, the family would not have a good year. Therefore, Charlie still hopes to find and rescue her as much as possible. At this moment, abandoned warehouses in the suburbs. Elaine and Cynthia were tied together. The reason why the Wilson family and his son hadn't let Elaine go to sleep was mainly that they wanted Regner to come over and inspect their work. After all, cannibalism is soft and short. The Wilson family got so many benefits from Regner, but they never let Charlie family jump in accordance with Regner's explanation, so Regner felt very insecure. This is mainly because the Thompson villa they live in is not their own, but Regner lent them to live in. Moreover, Regner's investment in the Wilson Group's money is also conditional. Regner can withdraw all the money at any time, and then the Wilson family will still have nothing. Therefore, they wholeheartedly hope that they can please Regner and satisfy him. In this way, they can also get more benefits from the Wu family. Regner was sitting in the car rushing to the warehouse, and he was very excited. During this period of time, although he has been busy making the Wu family rise again and can't worry about fighting with Charlie, the hatred of Charlie in his heart has never been lessened. This time he heard that Noah wanted to attack Charlie's mother-in-law first. Regner was naturally very happy. For fear of missing the show, he asked his men to drive over to watch the live broadcast. As soon as he arrived, Harold ran to open the door of the warehouse himself, and let the Rolls-Royce with Regner drive in. Noah walked to the car door excitedly and took the initiative to open the rear seat door for Regner. As soon as the door opened, Noah bowed very humbly and said, "Mr. Regner, you are here." Regner nodded and saw Elaine tied back to back with Cynthia on the ground. He sneered and said, "This is Charlie's mother-in-law, right?" "Yes." Noah said with a bit of bitterness, "This girl, the number 1 Zen in the universe, is as cheap as a bone. I'll get her to be done later, and I'll help Mr. Regner." When Elaine heard this, she hurriedly begged in fright, "I beg you to let me go, I have no grievances with you, why do you treat me like this?" Regner shouted coldly, "I have no grievances or hatreds. Do you know that your son-in-law Charlie deserves my unshakable vengeance? Today you fell into my hands, don't blame my cruel heart, blame it you found yourself a good son-in-law." Elaine was about to collapse and cried out, "I was wronged. Charlie is not the son-in-law I found for myself, but the live-in son-in-law arranged by Noah's father for the Wilson family. I strongly opposed it at the beginning, but the old master didn't listen to me. Yet. Regner said contemptuously, "Don't talk to me about this nonsense. As long as it is the people around Charlie, they will be a thorn in my eye and a thorn in my flesh." As he said, his expression was a little excited, but he said with some regret, "It's a pity, you are only Charlie's mother-in-law, not Charlie's immediate family member. If I can find Charlie's immediate family member first, then I in front of Charlie will just kill her with one knife." As soon as Regner said this, Elaine felt that the woman tied to her behind her trembled violently. Cynthia almost freaked out at this moment. She originally thought that she was unlucky enough to meet Elaine, a Biche woman's enemy. But now she realized that what she had encountered was not Elaine's enemy, but Charlie's enemy. Moreover, the other party is still regretting that he has no chance to kill Charlie's immediate family. Isn't she an immediate family member of Charlie? Charlie's aunt. At this time, Regner looked at Noah and said, "Old Wilson, when can you tie Charlie's wife?" When Noah heard this, he said with some embarrassment, "Mr. Regner, Claire is also my niece, I can't make this hand." Regner waved his hand, "I didn't want to kill his wife. His wife is going to stay in the second to last. Before killing Charlie, kill her in front of Charlie." As he said, Regner paused slightly, and then said, "I mean, first kill an immediate family member who is related to Charlie and get addicted. He has no parents, so there is no such thing as 7 aunts and 8 aunts. Kind of?" Noah thought about it for a while and said, "Charlie has always been an orphan. I have never heard of his immediate family members. They should have died long ago." Regner sighed, "That's really a shame." At this moment, Elaine suddenly had an idea, and blurted out, I know. Charlie has an immediate family member. The stinky woman who is tied to me is Charlie's aunt. If you hate Charlie, just kill her, it's definitely more useful than killing me." Cynthia was so scared that she had a cardiac arrest. She cried desperately in her heart, "When I came out, my father told to me that I should not let Elaine know that I have the identity of the Wade family. What's afraid is that Elaine knows that she is the Wade family, so the lion speaks loudly." So, how did Elaine know that she is aunt of Charlie? Elaine actually didn't know who Cynthia was. She didn't even know what Cynthia's last name was, and where she came from. And the reason why Elaine said that Cynthia was Charlie's aunt was complete nonsense. The reason for saying this is complete because she is completely scared by Regner's words just now. Elaine was afraid that Regner would kill her, so she thought to herself, since Mr. Regner wants to kill an immediate family member of Charlie to relieve his hatred, then I might as well cheat the Biche behind me. This will not only make me safer, and I can avenge this woman for humiliating me and fighting me. This woman came and pretended to me inexplicably. She lied to me with a fake check and asked me to persuade my daughter to divorce Charlie. This is the point. I framed her as Charlie's aunt. This is completely justified. Therefore, Elaine didn't expect that she would actually be on the right side. Regner didn't even expect that the woman behind Elaine was Charlie's aunt. He asked in surprise, "Elaine, you said she is Charlie's aunt, aren't you kidding me?" "Of course not." Elaine blurted out immediately, "This woman is indeed Charlie's aunt." Just now she ran to the beauty salon to find me and said that she would give me a check for 100 million and let my daughter leave Charlie. After Regner heard this, he strode to Cynthia's face and looked her up and down. Although he could see that Cynthia was well dressed and didn't look like an ordinary person, he didn't have any impression of her face. This is not to blame for his ignorance. The main reason is that although the Wade family is famous, the direct members of the Wade family rarely show up in the public eye for personal safety. Except for East Cliff's upper class, ordinary people have no chance to meet the Wade family. The media from all walks of life are absolutely afraid to report any personal information about the Wade family. Therefore, although Regner was familiar with the Wade family of East Cliff, he even knew it well, but he really didn't know anyone in the Wade family. Naturally, he couldn't recognize Cynthia in front of him. So he tore off the towel from Cynthia's mouth and asked coldly, "Are you Charlie's aunt?" Cynthia shuddered in shock, and shook her head desperately to deny, "No. I am not Charlie's aunt. I have nothing to do with Charlie." Elaine yelled, "Your mother! You have nothing to do with Charlie, why should my daughter divorce Charlie?" Cynthia was nervous and didn't know how to answer. She heard Regner say with her own ears that Charlie's immediate family would be slaughtered. If he knew that she is Charlie's aunt, he would definitely kill her without saying a word. Therefore, she knew that she would never admit this relationship. She even didn't dare to expose the identity of the Wade family, because once the other party knew that she was the Wade family, she was afraid that he would do nothing but kill her forever. Regner saw that she hadn't spoken for a long time. He slapped Cynthia's face with a slap in the face and gritted his teeth furiously, "Don't say yes." "Okay. I'll kill you. Anyway, you are going to get killed today." Cynthia's face was extremely pale, and she cried and said, "Actually, I am not Charlie's relative at all. I just think that Charlie is a good-looking kid and capable, so I want him to be my son-in-law." Before Elaine spoke this time, Regner cursed Cynthia first, then slapped her again, and cursed, "You that treat me as a 3-year-old child? Charlie is married, you do not know?" "I know." Cynthia cried and said, "Because I know, I can only make this move. I want to separate Charlie and Claire first, and then my daughter will have a chance." Regner sneered, "You woman, you are very dishonest at first glance. I can tell from your eyes that you didn't tell me the truth." Cynthia was nervous to death. In fact, she does not have very good psychological qualities. She has been arrogant before. It is not because of how strong her psychological quality is, but because of the reputation of the Wade family, so she can be free and unreasonable, not afraid that anyone dares to treat her badly. However, this is not East Cliff after all. She also underestimated Regner's hatred for Charlie. At this time, Regner just wanted to teach Charlie a lesson first, and then find a chance to kill him as well. Therefore, it is impossible for Regner to reason with Cynthia. If Cynthia can't prove very clearly that she is not Charlie's aunt, then Regner would rather kill the wrong person than let it go. Therefore, Cynthia could only choked and said, "You gentlemen, since you hate Charlie so much, you must know that Charlie was an orphan since childhood and grew up in an orphanage. How could I be his aunt? If I really am his aunt, how could I let my nephew live in the orphanage for so many years, don't you think?" Regner snorted coldly, gritted his teeth and said, "What's impossible? When my fraudulent brother-in-law died, there was a little girl left behind. That little girl was my wife's niece, and she was also called my wife her aunt. She has always wanted to bring her to my side to raise, but I did not agree, so the little girl is still living in the orphanage. Isn't this the same as your situation?" Cynthia was stunned for a moment, and she had no idea what to do. At this moment, Harold on the side rummaged in Cynthia's bag for a while, pulled out a document from her bag, and handed it to Regner with a flat face, and said, "Mr. Regner, look, this woman is called Cynthia Wade. From East Cliff." Regner frowned immediately. Although the surname of Wade is not too much, it is not too few, so he did not think of Cynthia and Wade's family together. On the contrary, he discovered that this woman was also named Wade, and almost instantly concluded that this woman must be Charlie's aunt. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and grabbed Cynthia's hair, and his big mouth drew several times. Cynthia's mouth was full of blood, and she said coldly, "You are brave enough, and dare. Do you really think Regner is vegetative?" Cynthia was beaten up and down, and her whole body almost collapsed. She cried and said, "Mr. Orville, I beg you to let me go. I have no grievances with you. Why should you embarrass me again and again? If Charlie has offended you, then you can kill him. Don't make me, a woman, so miserable, please." Cynthia didn't dare to reveal her true identity as the last resort, because once her true identity was revealed, it might be an even stronger motivation for Regner to kill her. Therefore, she wants to carry it to the end. If there is really no other way, then use the identity to make the last fight. At this time, Regner grinned, "You said you have no grievances and no enemies with me. I tell you, all Charlie's relatives and friends are enemies of Regner. You two, one is Charlie's aunt, one is Charlie's mother-in-law, so don't both of you want to run." After that, he immediately shouted to a bodyguard next to him, "Amau! First, drag Charlie's aunt to me," and shot her. Regner's violent shout made Cynthia's whole person instantly shaken into chaff. Because of the high tension of her body, Cynthia didn't control it, so she urinated her pants on the spot. Since she and Elaine were tied back to back, after urinary incontinence, the urine flowed down into a big pool. Elaine suddenly felt that the place where she was sitting became damp in an instant, and there was still a bit of stinky smell in the air, immediately like an electric shock. While struggling to move her body, she cursed, "What about you, girl? It's so disgusting. When is it good to pee in pants? Not pee now." Cynthia has completely collapsed, and all the decentness that she has cultivated for decades as a wealthy daughter has disappeared in this lesson. She looked at Regner and cried and said, "Mr. Orville, please don't kill me. I am the eldest lady of the Wade family of East Cliff. My name is Cynthia Wade. As long as you spare me this time, I can give you a lot of money. My father Zhongchuan Wade will also give you a lot of money." Suddenly, Regner was taken aback, looked at Cynthia, and asked incredulously, "You said you are the eldest lady of the Wade family?" Cynthia cried and said, "Yes, I am. I really am." Regner asked again, "You said your father is Zhongchuan Wade?" Cynthia nodded repeatedly, choked up, and said, "Yes. Zhongchuan is my father." Regner had never heard of Cynthia. However, he had heard of Zonkin's name. After all, Zhongchuan is the head of the Wade family, and he is very well known throughout the country. Cynthia said that she was Zonkin's daughter. Regner's first thought was, impossible. He observed at Cynthia, and sneered coldly, didn't you just urinate? Take a good picture of yourself and see if you look like the Wade family member. Cynthia collapsed and pleaded from the bottom of her heart, brother, I really am from the Wade family. Regner said disdainfully, well, even if you are really from the Wade family, then I will ask you, what do you do to come to Oris Hill if you are a dignified miss from the Wade family? Cynthia choked up and said, I'm looking for Charlie. Regner was even more disdainful, Charlie is just a live-in son-in-law who knows feng shui metaphysics, don't you tell me that he is also from the Wade family of Eastcliff. Cynthia cried and said, it's true. Charlie is really a member of our Wade family. He is the son of my second brother and the grandson of my father. Elaine was stunned, and forgot that all of her body was soaked with Cynthia's urine, and blurted out, what did you say? You said Charlie is the grandson of Wade family. Yes. Cynthia said sincerely, Charlie had been living in Eastcliff when he was a child. Later, due to some special reasons, he followed his parents to Oris Hill, and then his parents died. He was sent to Oris Hill Welfare Institute. Impossible. Elaine blurted out, if Charlie is really the young master of the Wade family, how could he have been growing up in the orphanage? And when he became an adult, he was picked up by my father-in-law from the construction site when he worked as a construction worker. Yes, you tell me now that he is the eldest of the Wade family? I said that I am the Queen Mother who came down to earth. Regner also said in a cold voice, what you said is not in line with common sense. If Charlie really has such a powerful identity, how can he be included in such a poor family? Noah touched his nose, and said awkwardly, Mr. Regner, what you are saying is not appropriate. That's it, Mr. Regner. Harold on the side was also a little unconvinced, and said, our Wilson family in Oris Hill can be regarded as a middle-class family anyway, and that's also a good one. Regner glared at him and cursed, your family has a head and a face? Your sister has a head and a face, and even went to kneel and lick the bad old Master Fredman? With a head and a face, your mother SL3PT with the overseer in the black coal mine? As soon as Noah heard this, his face flushed with shame, and he wanted to slash the ground and get in on the spot. Harold beside him also wanted to die in embarrassment. Regner seemed to be puzzled. He gritted his teeth and cursed, the TV in my villa has been sold by your family secretly, and you have the face to tell me that your family has a head and a face? Your grandma runs away with a head and face. From Charlie's house steals foreign daffodils to make dumplings to eat? How much does it cost you to buy 2 kilograms of leeks at the vegetable market? The family is stupid, saying that you're all *. Noah and Harold were speechless immediately. What Regner said is the truth. After the Wilson family fell, they did a lot of things that were not ethical, indiscriminate, and $1 hit. If they were to say one by one, they would really bring the Wilson family back. The ancestors' face is lost. Cynthia's desire to die is gone. Obviously, she was confessing her identity and Charlie's background to Regner. How to say it, became Regner and cursed the other 2 people bloody? so, she looked at Regner with a very pious expression. Big brother, every word I say is true. I can swear to the heavens. Please look at the face of the Wade family and let me go. Right. At this moment, Charlie was sitting on Isaac's helicopter, flying to the suburbs at high speed. Noah and Harold's methods of committing crimes are not smart, and it is not difficult for Isaac and his men to find out their trajectory. Soon, they locked the van based on surveillance video, and then used traffic monitoring to get out their crime route along the way. After learning that the other party was currently in an abandoned warehouse in the suburbs, Isaac immediately organized a large number of men to prepare for rescue. Charlie naturally went with him. When the helicopter was flying, Charlie, who was sitting in the cabin, looking sad. Seeing this, Isaac on the side hurriedly comforted, "Master, we can rush over in a few minutes. Your mother-in-law and Miss Cynthia should not be in danger of life." Charlie rubbed the bridge of his nose and sighed. Noah and Harold are likely to be working for Regner. I can probably guess how they would treat Elaine. It is likely that they will find something similar to a black coal mine after torturing Elaine. The place imprisoned her for suffering, so I am not worried that they will kill Elaine. Isaac nodded and said, "Miss Cynthia is the eldest daughter of the Wade family. If it is Regner who is in charge behind her and Miss Cynthia reveals her identity, he should not dare to make trouble, so Miss Cynthia will probably not encounter a threat to her life." Charlie smacked his lips and said, "What I worry about is that my aunt reveals her identity. If she reveals her identity, she will definitely reveal my identity. I don't want others to know that I have anything to do with the Wade family." Isaac hurriedly asked, "What if Miss Cynthia has already said it?" Charlie said coldly, "If she has already said it, then she must be a little wronged by the time." At this moment, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Cynthia, who had not dared to reveal his identity, couldn't take care of that much now. Seeing that Regner had never believed in her, she hurriedly blurted out, "Mr. Regner, I really am the eldest daughter of the Wade family of Eastcliff. As for you just mentioned that Charlie grew up in the orphanage, I don't deny that. This is mainly because Charlie's situation is very special. His father was Changing, the famous Eastcliff hero from back then. You should have heard of this, right?" Regner felt a little in his heart. He secretly thought, "Changing. This was my idol when I was young." The Changing back then, with his own power, made the Wade family stand on top of the country, even straight away, and even suppressed the old European and American family rows. The arrogance of the family, that man, in the domestic business world, was a godlike existence. It is a pity that Changing died young, otherwise the future was boundless. Thinking of this, he frowned and looked at Cynthia, and asked, "You said Charlie is Changing's son. What evidence is there?" Cynthia blurted out, "Don't you think that the two of them look very alike? The two are simply carved out of the same mold. What kind of evidence is needed?" Regner said coldly, "What you said is just nonsense. I don't even know what Changing looks like. Changing passed away 18 years ago. At that time, the internet in China had just started. He usually relied on TV and newspapers to obtain information. However, families like the Wade family generally do not report directly on TV and newspapers, so things about these big families are basically passed on by word of mouth from the upper class. At that time, Regner was in Suzhou, so he never had a chance to see him. He just heard about Changjing's many deeds. So, how did he know that Charlie and Changjing looked that same or not? Cynthia had no choice but to say, "You also read my ID card just now. My name is Cynthia, a native of Eastcliff. The word Wade is my surname. I have 2 elder brothers, the 2 younger brothers, the eldest brother Andrew, the second brother Changjing, the third brother Changjitian, the fourth brother Wade Changjun, and the younger sister named Changziu. These are all true. I am really the Wade family member." Regner frowned. Changjing has long been like a thunderbolt, and Cynthia has also heard about it. He couldn't help muttering in his heart, "Is what this woman said is true? If so, didn't I cause a catastrophe? If the Wade family is investigated by that time, then I am afraid that the family will be ruined." Seeing Regner's expression of uncertainties, and the nervousness that could not be concealed, Harold on the side was a little startled. He asked Noah in a low voice, "Dad, you said Charlie's rag, isn't it he really a member of the Wade family?" Noah frowned and said seriously, "Don't know. It sounds impossible at first, but when I think about it, it doesn't seem to be fake. Otherwise, where did this woman emerge from? Why is she here? Even if she is not Charlie's aunt, at least she has a certain connection with him." Harold nodded repeatedly, "It makes sense." Elaine was also in a cloud at this time. She had sneered at all that Cynthia said, but the more Cynthia said, the more truth she felt. She couldn't help but wonder in her heart, "Mom, is my son-in-law really the young master of the top big family? If this is true, won't I have to become so prosperous in the future?" Elaine suddenly became excited. However, after a while, the excitement in her heart was immediately replaced by despair. She looked at the menacing people around her, and wailed in her heart, "Oh, why is my life so bitter? Finally, my son-in-law has great ability, but I am tied up by them, in case they really give me away. What can I do after entering the Black Brick Kill? Will Charlie come and save me?" Thinking of this, Elaine suddenly realized that she had treated Charlie too badly before. She thought of the past, that she had been arrogant, screaming, and even bullying and insulting him before, and she regretted it very much. She couldn't help thinking, what if Charlie still hates me in his heart? I'm missing this time. Maybe it's just as his wish. If he doesn't want me to go back at all, then he won't come to the rescue at all. Me, do I have to burn and move bricks in the Black Brick Kill for the rest of my life?" At this point, Elaine burst into tears immediately. At this time, Regner looked at Cynthia and said, "Since you said you are from the Wade family, then I ask you, what evidence do you have to prove it?" Cynthia hurriedly said, "I have my checkbook and my personal signature stamp in my bag. You can take a look." Regner looked at Harold and blurted out, "Where is her bag?" Harold immediately returned to the van and took out Cynthia's top runway Hermes. As soon as he saw this bag, Regner shook his heart. Elaine didn't know the goods and couldn't recognize how much the bag was worth, but he did. Back then, his wife Yakina also participated in the Hermes Spring Show. In that show, this bag was the finale. Moreover, according to the official introduction of Hermes at the time, this bag is a collection of Hermes' top artisans, handmade, and there is only one, which is extremely valuable. At that time, Yakina matched this bag at a glance, and he had to buy it for her. It's a pity that Hermes officially stated that this bag had already been ordered by a celebrity in Eastcliff, so no one else would buy it. Yakina didn't give up, and even asked Regner to act like a baby, hoping that Regner could find a way to help her buy this bag. Regner tried several times, but the other party did not let go. Later, a senior Hermes official told Regner that this bag had been ordered by a member of the top family of Eastcliff and persuaded him to give up. Regner heard that it was ordered by a member of Eastcliff's top big family, and immediately understood that the other party was definitely not an object of competition. Therefore, he spent a lot of money and bought a lot of other Hermes for his wife, which made his wife give up thinking about this bag. Now, when he saw this bag again, he almost immediately determined Cynthia's identity deep down in his heart. At this moment, Regner had all the desire to die deep in his heart. Isn't this a beeping dog? Isn't it? Today it was just the Wilson family father and son asking him, flattering him, saying that they wanted to engage in Elaine, and he hated Charlie, so came to watch the excitement. But who would have imagined that the Wilson family's father and son, the eldest daughter of the Wade family, were tied together? This is a member of the Wade family. Let's not talk about the courage of the rubbish father and son, the key is, how can such a big person make the father and son tied up? Is there not even a bodyguard with Cynthia? As he was thinking, Harold had already handed Cynthia's bag over. He handed it over to Regner with respectful hands, and said flatly, "Mr. Regner, I don't think you should believe this stinky woman who is slanderous here. When we went to catch Elaine, this stinky woman was ganging up with the Zen, and she was still riding the hammer on her face by Elaine, but as long as she is a person with status, not even a bodyguard was around, right?" Cynthia blurted out, "I brought him. I brought 2 bodyguards and an assistant, but at the time I wanted to go to the beauty salon to talk to Elaine about Charlie, and I didn't want Elaine to know my identity and be followed by her. Mistake our Wade family, so I let the bodyguard wait at the door." Speaking of this, Cynthia said angrily, "But I never expected that the owner of that beauty salon would be in the same group as you." Regner opened Cynthia's Hermes with fear. Inside, in addition to the checkbook, there is indeed a badge of Cynthia's name. People's name badges are usually not carved by ordinary people, and there is no need to use them. But if it is an enterprise leader or senior management, almost everyone must. A lot of money-related businesses need a corresponding name stamp, especially cash checks. Moreover, the font of the name seal is generally unconventional, so Regner can clearly see that the 2 words Cynthia Wade are engraved on this seal. Seeing Cynthia's name badge, Regner's blood pressure rose instantly and he could barely stand. In the next moment, he even had the desire to die. This feeling is like asking the Wilson family and his son to catch a dog, but when the other party catches the dog, he still catches a tiger in confusion. The key is that behind this tiger, there is also an extremely powerful family. Regner cried angrily in his heart, "What is this? I just want to teach Elaine how the young lady of the Wade family came to join in the fun. This is a good thing Noah and Harold did, but Cynthia took me as mastermind as soon as I came. At this moment, Cynthia saw that Regnar's expression was very complicated, and he knew clearly that he should believe in her identity, so she hurriedly said, "Mr. Regnar, I know that you really want to tie Elaine, not me, between us. But it's just a misunderstanding. As long as you let me go, I will definitely not pursue what happened today. In the future, I will promote the cooperation between the Wade family and the Wu family. What do you think?" Hearing this, Regnar's heart was more or less moved. Judging from today's things alone, he has nothing more than two choices. The first one is to do nothing but to kill Cynthia directly, the second is to quickly rein in the cliff. Perhaps the Wade family can still give him a chance. If he chose the first one, he must have a prerequisite, that is, after he kills Cynthia, he must ensure that the Wade family cannot find him. So he beckoned to Noah, and said coldly, "Old Wilson, come, take a step to speak." Noah hurriedly followed up. Noah took him to the door of the warehouse and asked in a low voice, "Did you deliberately avoid surveillance on the way you tied these two women?" "No." Noah shook his head and said, "After we tied them up from the beauty salon, the driver navigated directly here, and the route they took was all the route planned by the navigation." Regnar's legs softened and he almost couldn't stand firm. Noah hurriedly supported him and asked, "Mr. Regnar, what's wrong?" Regnar opened his hand and asked angrily, "You didn't find a hidden place to change your car on the way you came?" "Change the car?" Noah asked in astonishment. "Mr. Regnar, I didn't think this was necessary, right? Isn't it just two stinky ladies? Just tuck them into the car and pull it over?" As he said, Noah reminded him, "Mr. Regnar, I always feel that the lady named Cynthia has something wrong with her, but her mouth can be fooled. I almost believed what she just said, but I am careful." After thinking about it, he still feels that something was wrong. After a pause, Noah continued to talk loudly, "Look, Mr. Rengar, if this Cynthia is really from the Top East Cliff family, how could she come to Oris Hill? Besides, what she said about Charlie's life experience is simply Charlie's stinky rag. Before he arrived at our house, he was just a small casual worker who lived on the construction site with food and lodging, and a poor batch of hanging people. Not obedient, maybe he back then, couldn't even use wiping paper. How could he be the young master of a wealthy family? Which wealthy family was willing to throw their children out for so many years?" Regnar remained expressionless, and did not respond to what he said. Although what Noah said may sound reasonable at first, there is no real evidence at all. However, Regnar had seen Cynthia's checkbook and the name stamp just now. The checkbook is real, and the name stamp is by no means forgery. Coupled with her Top Hermes limited edition, it is basically certain that she must be Cynthia Wade. The question that bothers Regnar now facing is what to do with Cynthia. He was 10,000 the person who didn't believe Cynthia's words. He couldn't understand the mentality of the upper-class people. She said that she could not blame the past, but if he really made her free, the first thing she does is probably to kill him. However, if you kill her now, it is too unsafe. Because Noah and Harold were far from cautious in handling this matter, they were brought here directly after they were tied up, and there was no change of cars along the way. As long as the road monitoring is strictly checked, the car could be tracked all the way. Maybe, they will be here soon. Thinking of this, Regnar's nervous scalp became numb. Immediately, he thought to himself, since this Cynthia can't be killed, he can only do everything he can to save the situation. After making up his mind, he immediately said to Noah, "Come, follow me in." Noah nodded quickly, followed him eagerly, and walked back to the warehouse. As soon as Regnar entered the warehouse, he strode towards Cynthia. Before he came to the front, he was very ashamed and said, "Oh, Madam Wade, what happened today is really a misunderstanding." Noah and Harold, father and son, they wanted to teach Charlie's mother-in-law Elaine, the shrew behind you. I didn't expect that the two * would arrest you. I'm so sorry." Upon hearing this, Cynthia was relieved immediately. At this moment, she was so excited that she almost cried. Harold on the side heard this and asked with surprise, "Mr. Regnar, which one are you singing? Which one did you sing?" Regnar grabbed Harold's collar directly, slapped it violently, and cursed, "You have a face to say? The whole thing is because of you and your father. Let's start together. If you two hadn't been for Elaine, you wouldn't have got Ms. Wade involved." After the fight, Regnar cursed with lingering fears, "Fortunately, I came and took a look today. If I didn't come here today and you did something excessive with Ms. Wade, I'd kill you both with my own hands." Harold said with a dazed expression, "Mr. Regnar, what do you mean by this? We tied Elaine, but it's all for you. For me." Regnar scolded, "What does this have to do with me?" After speaking, he immediately angrily shouted to several bodyguards around him, "Come here, give me the 2 arms of him." Harold's whole body collapsed after hearing this. Seeing Regnar's bodyguards stepping forward, he rushed towards him, scared back, and shouted nervously, "Mr. Regnar, what are you doing? We are not all for you. Isn't it? You don't need to do this, why would you abolish my arms?" Regnar exploded in anger, and he blurted out, "If you dare to say it's for me, I'll break your legs." Harold was horrified. Before he could run far, he was firmly pressed to the ground by a few tall bodyguards. Regnar's bodyguards are not good, and since the boss has ordered, they will never hesitate. Therefore, as soon as Harold was pushed to the ground, someone picked up a brick from the ground and slammed it on his shoulder. Harold let out a painful ouch, and before he finished screaming, a sharp pain came from the other shoulder, which made him almost fainted. Seeing that his son was smashed into such a miserable picture, Noah hurried up to intercede, and blurted out, "Mr. Regnar, Mr. Regnar. My son is completely kind, even if he does something bad, you should not be too cruel to him." Regnar gritted his teeth and cursed, "You speak really a lot of $1 hit. Come here, give me both of his arms." At this moment, Regnar knew that this incident could not be completely hidden, so he could only choose to fall to Cynthia. He just wanted to do his best to prove to her that he was innocent. Therefore, at this time, Noah dares to say that they are out of good intentions. Isn't this breaking the dirty water on himself? In that case, don't blame him for being rude. To abolish them is to give Cynthia a name. If Cynthia relieved her hatred and anger in her heart, his troubles would be much smaller. How could Noah ever think that this Regnar not only turned his face, but he abolished his son's arm, and when he was about to abolish his arms, Seeing that his son was smashed to the ground and wailing, his first thought was to run away. However, he is about to become a bad old master, which is the opponent of Regnar's several mature bodyguards. Therefore, before running a few steps, he was immediately pressed to the ground. After that, the same brick was smashed twice, and Noah was thrown to his son like a pig to be slaughtered. The wailing of the father and son resounded throughout the warehouse. The wailing was so loud that the helicopter roared from a distance, and the people inside could not hear it. The bloody father and son, their shoulders were full of blood at this time, they looked terrible. Seeing that both father and son had their arms destroyed, Regnar came to Cynthia flatly and said, "Ms. Wade, I have already taught these two beasts. I hope you don't get angry." Cynthia breathed a sigh of relief, but couldn't help complaining, "You have to untie me." "Oh, yes, yes." Regnar hurriedly started and untied Cynthia's rope. Cynthia just regained her freedom and immediately jumped up from the ground, completely ignoring that she was full of urine. The first thought was to turn around, grab Elaine by the hair, and hit her face with a violent blow. "You beat me! You beat me! You country shrew, even you dare to beat me, it's really all because of you." Elaine was still tied up, so she didn't have any resistance at all, so she could only let Cynthia output wildly on her face and head. At this time, Elaine was yelling and begging for mercy, "Oh, elder sister, please don't beat me. Can I know if I did wrong? Knowing that you are wrong?" Cynthia was even more furious when she heard this. She blasted the hammer at Elaine and shouted angrily, "You have killed me like this. Just tell you that you know you are wrong. The old lady not only wants it all today? I have to kill you for that." Elaine frightened her and blurted out, "Sister, forgive me. Don't forget, you are Charlie's aunt, I am Charlie's mother-in-law, we are relatives. Between relatives, how can we fight like this? If my son-in-law turns against you in the future because of this, you won't be able to hold on to it." Cynthia snorted coldly, "I'm going to your mother. How could I be relatives to a poor ghost like you? If Charlie dares to bring your family back to Wade's house, I will not let him." When Regnar on the side heard this, he suddenly became energetic and said excitedly, "Ms. Wade, as long as you have a word, I will let people kill this stinky woman." When Elaine heard this, she looked at Cynthia in horror, and begged, "Sister, if you don't look at the face of the monk and the face of the Buddha, you will spare this dog. At most you will label me like Noah and Harold, but let me live." Cynthia also hoped that Elaine would go to hell. However, she suddenly thought of the father's entrustment to herself, and suddenly she felt a little daunted. She knew that if she really let Regnar kill Elaine, she was afraid that Charlie would not forgive her. At that time, if Charlie resisted the Wade family, the old master would definitely complain that she didn't get things done properly. Thinking of this, she gave up the idea of killing Elaine, looked at her, gritted her teeth and said, "Should you talk nonsense with me, the old lady can't kill you because of Charlie's face today, but you are doing a capital offense. It can be avoided, living sins you cannot escape." After finishing speaking, she looked at Regnar and sternly shouted, "Interrupt her hands and feet." When Regnar heard this, he immediately said, "Ms. Wade, don't worry, leave it to me." After finishing speaking, the opponent hurriedly shouted, come here, give me her hands and feet. As soon as the voice fell, several subordinates rushed over. Elaine was so frightened that she broke down and cried, but the other party directly held on to her, without saying anything, directly picked up the brick and slammed it on Elaine's right knee. At this moment, Elaine fainted almost instantly in pain. When she was in the detention center, her right knee was broken once by Mrs. Wilson. After so long, she had just removed the plaster and recovered within the last few days. This time, she was smashed again. The pain of the heart was so painful. She is desperate. Elaine immediately cried out heartbreakingly, "Please forgive me, my leg has been broken once, and now it happened to be broken again. You want my life?" Regner sternly reprimanded, "Stop the nonsense, Miss Wade will break your hands and legs. You have just finished a quarter." Elaine screamed out like crazy, "Then you kill me. You kill me, I no longer have to suffer this crime." Regner scolded in disgust, "What a shrew! You guys, quickly get rid of her for me." When the man with the slab was about to attack Elaine's other leg, the door of the warehouse was suddenly kicked open. A dozen men in black with live ammunition quickly filed in and pointed their guns at the people inside. The headed man in black was holding a gun and said coldly, "No one is allowed to move. If anyone dares to move in my sight, be careful that my bullets do not have eyes." Seeing a group of men in black with live ammunition rushing in, everyone was stunned. Regner asked nervously, "Who are you?" Among them, the man in black wearing a black mask said coldly, "We are Interpol. We are ordered to investigate a huge transnational fraud case." It was not someone else who spoke, but Charlie's most loyal subordinate, Orville. At this time, Charlie was on the helicopter outside, but he didn't get off. He didn't plan to come forward directly on this matter today, otherwise, there would be no way to explain to his mother-in-law Elaine. At this moment, Regner's expression is extremely surprised. "Interpol? Check transnational fraud? What does it have to do with him? He just kidnapped Elaine and Cynthia." Elaine felt as if her nerves were hit by high-voltage electricity all at once, and her whole body trembled. She immediately thought of her tragic experience when she was sent to the cell for stealing Charlie's bank card. However, after a while, she immediately came back to her senses and cried out for help, "Comrade Interpol, help! I am kidnapped by these people, they are going to kill me." The headed man in black walked up to her, checked her injuries, and said coldly to those around him, "Protect the injured first." "Yes." Several people in black moved at the same time, and then hurriedly stepped forward and dragged Elaine, who has a broken leg now. Elaine saw that she was being protected by a few men in black with guns, and she was completely relieved, and she cried loudly. Seeing that Elaine was protected, Regner immediately became anxious. Elaine gave Cynthia a name. If she were protected by Interpol, how could he satisfy Cynthia? So he immediately questioned, "Hey! Did you make a mistake? There is no suspect of transnational fraud. Quickly let the woman go." Orville walked directly in front of him, kicked him on his abdomen, kicked him all the way, with the muzzle against his forehead, and said coldly, "What? Are you teaching me to do things here?" Feeling the cold muzzle, Regner was so frightened that he immediately waved his hand and said, "I dare not, I just want to confirm. Orville said disdainfully, no more nonsense, we will take you back to the Vienna headquarters for trial. Cynthia walked over in embarrassment at this time and said to Orville, who was dressed in black, is this Interpol? I know the person in charge of your Vienna headquarters. I don't care what you are going to do here. I now ask you to send me first. I want to go to the hospital and you will protect me all the way until someone in my family takes over. Orville looked at Cynthia and sneered for a moment. Without a word, he slapped her loudly. Cynthia sighed. Before she had time to question the reason, Orville sternly shouted, Roxa, we have been investigating you for a long time. In the beginning, you specially made counterfeit Citibank black gold cards and searched for victims all over the country. The reason why people like Elaine were arrested on suspicion of defrauding the bank because she used the card you made. We have already investigated the fact that you used the alias Cynthia to slander and deceive all over the world. We have already investigated it. Do you dare to argue here? Cynthia was stunned by this remark. She subconsciously questioned, who do you say is the Roxa? How could I be called such a thing? I am Wade's daughter. I am Cynthia Wade who has been replaced by a fake. Orville shouted coldly, you still pretend to me? You have killed so many people and caused so many companies and individuals bankrupted for so many years, don't you have the slightest knowledge of yourself? Elaine was also dumbfounded. 10,000 voices in her heart kept lingering in her mind, what is going on? Who is this woman? Is she Charlie's aunt or a transnational scammer? If she is Charlie's aunt, what's the matter with these Interpol people? They also accurately stated what she was arrested and was in prison, which seems to be really well founded. If she is a transnational scammer, why did she find her and want her daughter to divorce Charlie? And even a big man like Regner believes she is really Wade's daughter. These two things seem to have their own reasons. If you take out any of them, you can stand up. At this moment, Orville continued to scold, we have already investigated what you did. We also know the purpose of your visit to Elaine this time. Don't you just want to give that? Do the 3 women who have been sentenced to life imprisonment take revenge? You want Elaine's family to ruin, right? As soon as Elaine heard this, she suddenly thought of the 3 women who made trouble for her and wanted to kill her when she was in prison. One of them was a middle-aged woman with a scar on her face. The woman said at the time that they were arrested because of Elaine. Thinking of this, Elaine's balance has already tilted. She began to feel that Cynthia should be a liar more likely. At this moment, Cynthia was already stunned. What are you talking about? I am not Roxa at all. I am Cynthia. Orville sneered, still pretending? It seems that you scammers are very involved in the drama. Sometimes you forget who you are and brainwash others? Well, if this is the case, then I don't leave room for you. We have already understood your plan ahead of time. You want to use a short promise to induce Elaine to persuade her daughter to divorce Charlie, right? Cynthia blurted out, what are you talking about? The check I wrote to her is real. It's a real check, not like a fake replacement. A smile was wiped at the corner of Orville's mouth, but Cynthia couldn't see it under the cover of the black mask. Charlie had long guessed that his aunt would definitely use the money to smash Elaine, so he deliberately let Orville pour dirty water on Cynthia. Elaine has been in jail. Fake checks and bank cards will definitely make her extremely sensitive. Charlie's guess of Elaine was really thorough. As soon as Elaine heard this, she immediately blurted out, "Comrade Interpol, she gave me a fake check for 100 million. Mr. Orville nodded and said coldly, "Her intention is to induce you to disturb your daughter's marriage first, and then ask you to go to the bank with a fake check to exchange it. Then the bank will definitely call the police. You will definitely be sent back to prison for fraud." After that, Orville paused and said, "It's just that you were let out by chance last time. If you go in again this time, you will not be so lucky. It is very likely that you will be the same as her 3 men. Sentenced to life imprisonment." When Elaine heard this, she felt a chill in her back. She screamed in her heart, "My God! Fortunately, I have learned the skills. When I saw Roxa, this stinky woman giving me a check, I guessed that she must be a liar. Sure enough. Mom is really stupid. I'm afraid I'll be imprisoned in a blink of an eye." The many key points mentioned by Orville quickly convinced Elaine of his words. Now thinking of the 3 wicked women she met in the prison, she still had lingering fears, as if it had become a psychological shadow of her. Orville looked at her at this time and said seriously, "Ms. Elaine, this time you did not believe in the tricks of this scammer and did not get deceived. This is indeed a very big improvement. Otherwise, once you are sentenced to life, you would have become human sandbags of Roxas' 3 subordinates." When Elaine heard this, she couldn't help but be shocked. "Mom! This is too dangerous. Fortunately, I am strong and vigilant, otherwise, if I was actually trapped in prison, wouldn't it be the 3 stinky ladies who would blast me for decades?" Mr. Orville turned his face, looked at Cynthia again, and said coldly, "Roxa, now there are Interpol from more than 20 countries applying for extradition for your return from China for investigation. You can be said to be the biggest fraudster in human history. You will stay overnight. Send you back to the Interpol headquarters in Vienna for trial. Which country will extradite you back to your country for trial will depend on which country you committed the highest amount of crime in." Cynthia's entire will and spirit at this time have almost completely collapsed. She felt as if she had suddenly fallen into a magical world. In this world, nobody believed anything she said. Moreover, in this magical world, she was confused by the name Roxa. Moreover, she became a transnational scammer. Still the biggest scammer in human history. This is just nonsense. Cynthia suddenly felt that there seemed to be a huge conspiracy behind the incident, so she shouted, "I now doubt your identity, whether you are from Interpol. Show me your relevant documents." Orville sneered, "Why? You found that you couldn't escape with your wings, so you want to take a bite back? I tell you Roxa, this time you can't have any chance to escape." Having said that, he immediately ordered several people around him, "Handcuff her for me and get her on the helicopter." "Yes." Several people in black immediately rushed forward, handcuffed Cynthia's hands behind her back with handcuffs, and walked outside holding her. Orville said coldly, "Roxa is a serious offender, wear a black hood over her." "Okay, sir." One of the people in black immediately used a black cloth cover to directly cover Cynthia's head. Elaine, who was paralyzed on the ground because of a broken leg, blurted out and shouted, Comrade Interpol, you must sentence her to death. Don't let this stinky woman come out to harm others. Mr. Orville said lightly, don't worry, she will definitely get a fair trial. After finishing speaking, he shouted to the other subordinates, take this guy with the surname Wu away. We highly suspect that he is involved in cross-border money laundering. We wanted to arrest him a long time ago, but we didn't expect to meet him here. Regner said in a panic, when did I become a suspect of cross-border money laundering? I have been doing business fairly, and I have never committed any illegal or criminal activities. Orville slapped him directly, don't you know how many nasty things your brother-in-law has done over the years? Regner blurted out, my brother-in-law did that. What does it have to do with me? Orville slapped him on the face again, and cursed, if you didn't support him behind his back, how could he have done so many detrimental things? Do you think you can be exempted without doing it directly? Don't forget. The commanders of those invaders are all Class A war criminals. Regner blurted out, but then I didn't launder money across borders either. Orville sneered, whether it is washed or not, you know it yourself, and we know it too. When the time comes, all the evidence will be in front of you, depending on how hard your mouth is. After finishing speaking, he waved to the people around him, take this guy away for me. The person Orville hates most in his life is Regner. He observed at Regner and cursed in his heart, Regner, the old dog, sent people to Classic Mansion and almost killed me. Had Master not arrived in time and rewarded me with a rejuvenation pill, I might have already reported to the Angel of Death, this time you fell into my hands, see if I not kill you. Seeing that Regner was also taken out, Elaine hurriedly pointed at Noah and Harold who were like dead dogs on the ground, and asked Mr. Orville, Comrade Interpol, the two of them intend to kidnap me, what should I do? Mr. Orville said indifferently, we are the Interpol after all. We are affiliated with the Interpol headquarters in Vienna. We mainly catch transnational crimes. Local criminals like them should be handed over directly to the local officers. Elaine nodded repeatedly and echoed, that's okay. Send them to life imprisonment. Orville nodded and said, don't worry about this. In this way, I will arrange someone to take you to the hospital, and then you will inform your family members. We will notify the local officers of these two people, so you don't have to worry about it. Elaine burst into tears and cried, Comrade Interpol, please send me to the hospital. My leg broke again in just a few days. Hey! God, why am I facing this? My fate is hard for me. Orville greeted the people around him and said, you, drive Ms. Elaine to the hospital. Okay, Captain. Later, Elaine was helped out of the warehouse by two people. As soon as she left the warehouse, she was stunned by the sight in front of her. In the open space at the entrance of the warehouse, 3 helicopters and a dozen black cars were parked. She couldn't help sighing in her heart, my boy. This Interpol is amazing. There are several helicopters. Fortunately there is Interpol today. Otherwise, wouldn't she be killed by Roxa and Regner? Thinking of this, she cursed in her heart, that Regner is an idiot. What a billionaire boss, you can't even see the identity of a fraudster like Roxa, and a mouthful of Ms. Wade shouted. That's him lying flatly before her. So stupid. Afterwards, Elaine was taken into a Rolls-Royce car, and the driver drove away quickly from the scene to Orris Hill People's Hospital. At this moment, Cynthia was sitting on the helicopter nervously. With a black cloth bag on her head, she couldn't see the surrounding environment at all, so she was extremely nervous. At this time, she felt that her headgear was suddenly taken off, and she was terrified. But when she took a closer look, she realized that the person sitting in front of her was her nephew, Charlie. At this moment, Cynthia finally knew that these Interpol were fakes at all, and they must all belong to Charlie. Roxa and transnational scammers are nothing but his playbook. Realizing that Charlie had been playing tricks on her, she suddenly sternly scolded, "Charlie! Are you crazy? I'm Cynthia Wade, you even dare to play with me?" Facing the furious Cynthia, Charlie just smiled indifferently, and asked her, "Big New Year, don't you stay in East Cliff to prepare for the New Year, came to Orris Hill to find trouble for me, persuade mother-in-law, and ask my wife to divorce me? You can do all kinds of mischievous things, can't I play you around yet?" Cynthia's expression flashed a bit awkward, and then she gritted her teeth and said, "I'm doing all for your own good. Look at your wife. How can she be worthy of you?" Charlie said in a cold tone, "Can my wife be worthy of me? I don't need you to point fingers here. Today's matter is just a small lesson for you. If you know me, please go back to East Cliff as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will not let you stay in Orris Hill for the New Year." Cynthia was immediately furious. She struggled to get up, but was pushed back by the man in black next to her. She could only grit her teeth and shouted, "Charlie! Do you dare to threaten me?" Charlie nodded and said blankly, "Now it's just threatening you. If you really annoy me, I might be going to hit you." "Dare you?" Cynthia gritted her teeth and said, "If you dare to move me, I will fight you." Charlie snorted and said, "Even my subordinates can slap you. Why don't I dare? The reason why I don't want to hit you is because I don't want to dirty my hands." Cynthia yelled like a ghost, "The man who moved me, I will kill him sooner or later. And your mother-in-law? That shrew dared to beat me too. I will definitely want her to be broken into pieces." Charlie frowned slightly, and raised his eyebrows and said, "What? You're still so arrogant, right? Okay, then you don't want to go back. Let's celebrate the New Year in Orris Hill." Cynthia asked, "Do you want to detain me?" "Yes." Charlie nodded, "You use the word very well, just to detain you." Cynthia was mad and shouted, "I'll give you the courage." Charlie said calmly, "I don't need you to give it, I have already decided. Are you not convinced? Okay, when will you be convinced, and when will you leave?" Cynthia yelled hysterically, "Charlie! I'm your elder anyway. It's Cynthia Wade. You can't be so presumptuous to me." "Elder?" Charlie asked coldly, "You keep saying that it's my elders and my aunts. Then I ask you, where were you when I was in the orphanage?" Cynthia was speechless. Charlie asked again, "Let me ask you again, when I was an adult, where were you when I was working on a construction site?" Cynthia was still speechless. Charlie asked again, "Also, when I got married, where was Miss Cynthia Wade?" Cynthia's expression was dark, and she wanted to refute him, but she didn't know where to start. Charlie said at this time, "You, aunt, never cared about me or helped me. After all, life is like this. People have to learn to rely on themselves, but you not only didn't help me, but also came to provoke the relationship between me and my wife. What is your intention?" I. Cynthia quibbled, "I asked that Claire divorce you for your own good. That kind of woman doesn't deserve you." Charlie nodded and said, "Then I will leave you in Oris Hill to sharpen your temper, and the same is for your good. After all, if your personality is not restrained, I don't know what catastrophe you will make in the future. Maybe your own life will be in danger." Cynthia gritted her teeth and said, "Dare you? Give me a cell phone, I want to call your grandpa." Charlie handed her the phone indifferently, and said, "Come on, use my phone, call now." After finishing speaking, he said to the black-clothed person beside her, "Unlock her handcuffs." The man in black immediately followed suit. After Cynthia regained her freedom with both hands, she immediately grabbed the phone from Charlie, put a number, and pressed the dial. After a few prompts on the phone, an old but very thick voice came, "Hello, who?" Cynthia heard the old master's voice and cried and said, "Dad, it's me, Dad." "Cynthia." Zhong Chuan, on the other end of the phone, blurted out, "How are you? Have you encountered any danger?" Cynthia cried and said, "I am detained by Charlie, and he said he wouldn't let me go back to East Cliff for the new year. Dad, this lad has no respect, and is arrogant. You have to help me out." Zhong Chuan said in surprise, "What's the matter? Why did you have a conflict with Charlie?" Charlie took the phone directly at this time, and said coldly, "She carried me, found mother-in-law, and asked mother-in-law to persuade my wife to divorce me. Is this the Wade family's style of doing things?" Zhong Chuan was startled, hesitated for a moment before sighing, "Charlie, she is Cynthia Wade, your aunt after all." Charlie asked back, "What's the matter? What right does she have to interfere with my freedom of marriage?" "Don't say she doesn't have this right, even you don't have this right," Zhong Chuan said with emotion. "Hey, you are right, she really shouldn't do this. I apologize to you for her, you can let her come back." Charlie said coldly, "I said, leave her in Oris Hill for the new year, and I will let her go back after the new year, but before the new year, no one can let her leave Oris Hill. Not even the King of Heaven." Zhong Chuan on the other end of the phone hesitated for a moment, and said helplessly, "All right, it's up to you." When these words came out, Cynthia looked desperate, and blurted out and pleaded, "Dad, I want to go back to East Cliff to accompany you to celebrate the new year, Dad." Zhong Chuan said earnestly, "Cynthia, your character is really too hot, take advantage of this lesson, take advantage of your temper, don't be 50 years old, and make trouble like young people all day long." Cynthia suddenly blocked up and didn't know what to say. Zhong Chuan said again, "Charlie, come home if you have time, Grandpa is very..." Before Zhong Chuan finished saying the 3 words "I miss you very much," Charlie directly hung up the phone. He has no relationship with Zhong Chuan, not to mention that he is more or less responsible for the death of his parents, so Charlie is even more impatient with him. As soon as the phone hung up, Cynthia choked up and asked, Charlie. Let me celebrate the new year in Oris Hill. I want to spend the new year alone in the presidential suite in Shangri-La. Charlie smiled and said, Shangri-La's presidential suite? I think you want to be blinded. I will rent you a house in the village in the city and let you live there for a long time. What? Cynthia collapsed and said, You ask me to live in the village in the city. You are so cruel. Charlie sneered, and suddenly remembered that it was the Chinese New Year. Salon, who came to Oris Hill on a bicycle, didn't know where he went. So he directly called Elsa. As soon as the phone call, Elsa asked happily, Charlie, why did you think of calling me? Charlie asked her, Elsa, where is your cousin Salon? Elsa said, he told me this morning that he was about to cross the Yangtze River, and he might be able to reach Oris Hill tonight. Charlie frowned, why is he so slow? Elsa said helplessly, he had a small accident on the bike and injured his arm, so he slowed down. Charlie asked again, have you found a house for him in the village in the city? Elsa said, I've found it, according to your request, 500 a month rent. Charlie gave a hum, and said, okay, I will check it out tomorrow. Hanging up the phone, at this moment, Orville came over with Regner, who was wearing a black cloth cover. Charlie said to him immediately, arrange for someone to go to the village in the city, rent the worst single room, arrange it for Ms. Wade to stay there for 7 nights, and she will not be allowed to go out for these 7 days. She buys food, whether it is ingredients or daily necessities, only the most common ones are allowed, understand? Orville nodded immediately and said, okay master, I will arrange this. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.